Hi, welcome back to another episode of Life Expressions. I'm your host, Charie Ginete-Ilon. Today, we are joined by someone whose journey embodies leadership, heart, and purpose. Our guest is Lester De Guzman, Marketing Communications Manager of Fairleigh Dickinson University, Vancouver campus, and board chair of Mabuhay House Center, building the Provincial Filipino Cultural Center in British Columbia. We'll talk about his journey, the lessons he's learned along the way, and the values that continue to guide him, both as a leader and as a Filipino making an impact in a global community. I'm so excited to dive into this conversation, so please stay with us here in Life Expressions. By the way, before I continue, allow me to invite you to please click that subscribe and follow button of Life Expressions. Your support means the world to me. Welcome to Life Expressions, Lester. How are you?
Thank you for having me. Really nice to be in your platform at the same time. Really glad to be chatting with you today.
It's my pleasure. Lester, can you share a bit about your journey and what brought you to where you are today in Canada?
Yeah, so I think can I speak in Filipino? Would that be
Of
good?
course.
Pwede
Yes,
po?
that would be
Alright, that's awesome.
great.
Kasi I
Yes.
was born in the Philippines, sa Pangasinan
Yes.
po. So I think my life journey here to Canada has been hindi ganun ka I didn't expect it kasi I think my parents really paved the way. But I'm a country boy from Pangasinan, from San Carlos City. I'm living in the farm. Family namin merong mango farm. So basically dun po ako lumaki. I went to a private school. And then went to university even in the Philippines, sa Baguio, because I wanted to do nursing. And my parents wanted me to do nursing until I decided, oh, you know what? Hindi talaga nursing for me. So after 2 years of taking that nursing program, sabi ko, mag-entrepreneurship na lang ako. So I went to business. After that, I really was exploring what to do next. My dad even called me, anong next mo after university sa SLU? And then I said, I want to be a call center agent, which is nothing
Okay.
wrong with it. But
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
same time, he was pushing me to really think about how to invest in my future. And so he said, why don't you take a master's degree and maybe look into China? So punta ako ng China to learn Mandarin for a year. And then I decided
Wow.
to take my MBA there. So that was back in 2009 when I went to China. Didn't know any Mandarin back then. So talagang nag-invest ako ng language skills kasi China was the big next boom of economy. But after
Yes.
graduating from my MBA, did decide to, you know what, my parents moved to Canada. May opportunity, nag-move ang mother ko as a caregiver to the caregiver program. And then, nung na-approve na yung petition namin back in 2012, dito na kami nag-decide nag-move here to Vancouver, BC. That was even a harder journey because I thought, oh, I have all the credentials in the world. Canada, may MBA na ako, may experience ako sa trading in Indonesia. Then when I came to Canada, wala akong makitang job na related sa akin. I tried marketing. I also tried international trade, but they always say you have to reskill and gain Canadian experience. So that was a very
Yes.
challenging journey for me. But then that reminded me again about my dad of what he said. You know what? You need to invest on your education. So
2018. Yeah.
when I did a bit of sales, learn about negotiation, I moved into the marketing space. Doon talaga po ako nag-invest. Sabi ko, gusto ko talaga ng marketing communications sa creative side.
Yeah.
And so I went to BCIT to study a 2-year program, diploma program for marketing communication because what I knew I lacked was my network.
Okay.
May knowledge na ako, may understanding na ako ng business concept, and I'm capable of doing things. Pero wala akong network dito sa Canada. Wala akong
Yes.
kakilala. And a lot of people have been telling me, oh, you know, Vancouver is such a small market, you have to network. Hindi ko talaga nakita yung value until I went to BCIT. And then after that, doon na nag-start ang aking progression after I graduate pandemic. Masyadong walang trabaho, kalaban mo yung mga nale-layoff, kalaban mo din yung mga bagong graduates. I went to e-commerce, tapos bumalik ako ng BCIT to become a marketing specialist. And then,
Yes.
nag-progress na doon every year until na-achieve ko ata maging marketing development manager sa School of Business and Media. And then I found my way around again and went to municipal government. I worked for City of Richmond for a year and then found myself now at Fairleigh Dickinson as their marketing communications manager.
That's a great journey, Lester. It really shows how resilient you are. And the guidance of your father really helped you, right? Like
Yes po.
pushing you to really find your way. And you decided to invest in your future. But many others can do that or did that. But I think you did something different that led you to where you are today. What do you think is that?
I think I really knew. I think a lot of people have. This is not the only, I think, recipe para maging successful sa buhay. But I think here in Canada, networking is a big piece.
Yes.
And sa Vancouver talaga, and naturally extroverted ako, pero hindi ako marunong magsalita in a way that be able to speak to someone like a leader, like a CEO or president of maybe RBC or something big company. But
Yeah.
what I did in my final year, mayroon isang program ang Greater Vancouver Board of Trade is called the Leaders of Tomorrow program na nagbibigay ng mentor and a student to a mentorship program for 1 year. That
Yes.
really taught me a lot of about governance, networking, and also leadership. So I went there through a year. I got a good mentor. She was the vice president of VCIT, and that was like a rare opportunity for me to really learn from this exceptional leader and navigate the business sense of the marketing industry in Vancouver. Dati pa nga, gusto ko talaga traditional marketing, yung gagawa
Yeah.
ng mga posters, gumagawa ng mga pamphlets, but she did open my eyes to digital marketing back in 2020 pa yon. So
Yes.
talagang nag-open ng horizon. And that's why I also give back to Greater Vancouver Board of Trade as well. So I'm now currently their chair for their Engaged Leadership Program or their RIC Center for Leadership. I actually this is a program for young professionals, mid-level managers to C-suite who wanted to learn about that the difference between change management, becoming a better leader, and also um, you know, doing non-for-profit boards. And
Yeah.
that still is continuously my advocacy is to really be involved with the community. Volunteering and also networking are the two big
Yeah.
things that really stood out.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And that's a great program from the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade. You've mentioned community and you're also paying it forward, right? You're doing and you're giving help to young people and those who would want to succeed as well. But going back to community, I have met you in one community event, the Pinoy Festival Alliance leadership meeting. And I would like to touch on how you got involved in the community. Now you're the board chair of Mabuhay House Center, which is doing great for the Filipino community, I must say.
Yeah, that community involvement became really like a blessing in disguise. Because when I first moved to Canada, I wasn't really involved with any Filipino community. Maybe I joined um uh, parties every Saturday dahil when I moved here, the biggest challenge, like I said earlier, was wala akong matrabahan na matrabaho. But I use my
Yeah,
talent. I use like my dancing skills kasi sumasaya ako sa Philippines and sa China. In a way, for hobby. So, merong nag-introduce sa akin sa ballroom dancing. Apparently,
yeah,
my I moonlight every Saturday as a dance instructor sometimes so that I can help
nice.
because that was my first job in Canada. And now I still continue doing on part of the community in a sense, going to different parties, dancing with some few folks in our community. And then back in 2000 and when I became the business development manager for BCIT, I met a prominent Filipino figure in our community. Her name is Maita Santiago, who's the
Yeah, city
current
councilor.
Burnaby councilor. Her election was really iconic because she was the first Filipina who got elected in the Burnaby Council. So that was
Yes,
really a milestone. So I introduced myself, did the networking again, and then I was saying, oh, I want to give back to the community now that I'm in a good place. If there's a way for me to like be supportive, and she did introduce me to a Boy House Society, and like you said. Giving forward, I volunteered as a communications like support lead in their committee. And then I got the opportunity to become part of the board back in 2024. So
yeah,
Mabuhay Society is a non-for-profit organization working with the provincial government to build a provincial Filipino cultural center. And that was really a learning experience because I think for me, my journey has always been servant leadership. Kasi
yes,
I think talagang ang mga leaders nagse-serve sila sa community and
True.
nagse-serve sila sa kanilang mga constituents or even their staff.
Yeah.
And that has always been my mantra. Even my professional life, I always go above and beyond pagdating sa pag-support sa aking team because if my teammates are good, then I look good and the team looks good.
Yes.
So from the community standpoint, naging involved po tayo sa paggawa ng advocacy sa province. I met with the province a lot every month to really tell them what the community needs about this Filipino Cultural Center, what are the next phases. So, yun. Aside from my dancing every Saturday, talagang
Yes.
nag-meet tayo sa ating mga different levels of government to really advocate for the Filipino Cultural
Yeah.
Center. Maybe the marketing and communication background also helps kasi
Yes.
I'm able to develop those media releases. I'm also be able to build communication pieces to the government piece to help really hone the messaging of our organization and our community as well.
For sure, the Filipino community is very thankful for you and your leadership. And of course, Councillor Maita Santiago of the city of Burnaby. And I must say, your story is kind of inspiring because apart from you being a leader in the marketing space, you're also the Canadian champion in the Latin ballroom.
Yes. I guess
Wow, that's
my
multi
family don't see
talent.
me. Yeah, my family don't see me anymore. They complain to me we have to book Lester for like a family dinner for a month and a half before they book. And sometimes I miss it kasi sa sobrang daming commitments. But I
Yeah.
try to my first passion in it is because also of my parents. They
Yeah.
are my first. That's the first time I saw them dance in a ballroom when I was a kid.
Hmm.
So talagang
Yes.
yung fun ko sa love ko sa ballroom dancing naging obsession in a way. Tapos naging competitive ballroom dancer ako. So nung nasa university sa Baguio, doon ako nag-umpisa na introduce sa ballroom dancing as a something I could use and do. And then tuloy-tuloy siya until now. I'm almost 40, but I'm still trying to like do. And I was fortunate enough. It was one day before Lapu-Lapu Day. No, one day after the
Oh,
Lapu-Lapu Day, I had to compete sa Victoria
yeah.
sa Nanaimo to the Canadian Close Championship.
Yeah.
I really had to push through that, but na 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 pinalad naman tayong nanalo for the Canadian Close Championship. So
Yeah.
I'm representing Canada now for ballroom dancing. I took a break
Wow.
after kasi medyo natiba ang priority natin kasi kailangan ng support ng community. I'm grateful sa dance partner ko na talagang, take your time whenever you're back. We'll
Yes.
be ready to like do it for next year.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
big
dedicated
congratulations. Big
time.
congratulations for you.
Thank you, po.
Yeah.
It's after work, so it's usually after I do from my 9 to 5 job. I go after
Yes.
into my dancing, and maybe I have to have my husband's how do you call it support as well. Kasi sabi
Yes.
niya, it's good that you have an outlet for something of you're
True.
passionate about.
Yes, that's great. I can call that you are a Pinoy pride.
Ah,
Magaling.
thank you
'Di ba?
po. Thank you po,
Yes, yes.
Carrie. Thank you, Carrie.
Chari. Yes,
Carrie.
yes. And let's go back a bit to the Filipino Cultural Center, the Provincial Filipino Cultural Center. I think that's one great project that many Filipinos have been aspiring to have, right? Let's talk about that.
Yes, so I think for 4 decades, Filipino Cultural Center has always been something that our community has been longing for and looking forward to build. The biggest challenge is there were some attempts in the past that really try to build the Filipino Cultural Center, but they have been not been successful. But now,
Yeah.
back in 2023, Mabuhay House, oh no, 2021, Mabuhay House Society was built into a non-for-profit organization to build the Filipino Cultural Center. And that's something that we are very proud of because the provincial government awarded a $250,000 grant back in 2023 to do the community engagement. We believe real and authentic Filipino Culture Center must be rooted by the community's input. Provincial government na i-engage ang ating community, tumulong din tayo para i-promote yung engagement na yon through roundtables, to a survey. Nag-release ang provincial government ng What We Heard report na tumulong tayo
Yeah.
mag-promote, i-design ano talaga ang kailangan ng ating community for the Filipino Cultural Center. So one was
Yes.
bayanihan spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Second was a cultural space to share pride of our history and also our culture. And third is learning space like languages, cultural dances, singing. Yun po yung talagang nalabas sa survey na yun. And
Yeah.
over 1,200 respondents ang sumagot nung survey. So we're very excited na the next phase would be the feasibility study is maghahanap na tayo ng space kung saan
Yes.
talaga dapat ilagay ang Filipino Cultural Center na accessible, inclusive,
Yes.
and also mas madali sa ating mga kababayan like from the seniors, to the youth, to mga migrants to access.
Yes, that sounds so exciting. I'm
Yes
truly
po.
excited for that project. About you, Lester, what
Sige.
keeps you inspired? You are so busy, you have so many things on your plate, but you still excel in everything that you do. What keeps you inspired and grounded?
I think for me, I'm more than willing to try different things. And I know if something doesn't go right, I feel like, okay, like I will try it and then decide that it's not something that I want to do. So I'm always a yes person, being like, I want to try it. Ganun talaga siguro pag panganay.
Yeah,
Parang
okay.
maging masunurin ka sa mga parents mo na parang, oh, gawin mo to. Okay, sige po. Okay, ganun po. So I think
Yeah.
pag may mga demand from family, from work, from community, I just willing to say yes. And then I always see it as a learning opportunity for me dahil hindi naman talaga I think I commit myself to lifelong learning. Maybe because
Yes.
nasa post-secondary education ako kaya ganun siguro. But I think that was my mantra. And second, like I said, servant leadership talaga ang aking mantra, and I try my very best to be authentic and provide as many resources as possible kasi marami tayong kababayan and siguro yung mga kabataan din na kailangan nila ng tulong when it comes to education, empowerment, and also a place for them to really, and kung makapag-provide naman tayo, that's where I feel like I wanted to do. Some people ask me, should I run for office? I'm like, parang after this experience as well, na-learn ko na ayoko mag-run ng office in a way kasi um, it's not the most. I think I don't have the heart to like. I would love to serve, but I don't have the heart to even run for politics.
Okay, yes, let's leave it at that.
Yes.
Talking about your leadership, you have this skill in marketing and communications. You are entrenched in the Filipino community as well as other communities because of your role in Fairleigh Dickinson University as the marketing and communications manager. How do you build meaningful connections with a diverse community?
So I think people think that networking is a matter of meeting as many people as possible, which is hindi tama yon. I consider, and this is a metaphor na isang teacher nagsabi sa akin, networking is not a hunting activity, it's actually a farming activity. When you say hunting activity, is like, oh, you have a goal, you have to shoot someone and to shoot as many so that you get as many, livestock as possible. But I think that's a misconception with networking. When I do networking, I treat it as a farming activity where you have to nourish, take time, put sunlight, put nutrition para ma-build yung relationship. And that's how I show up in people. So kapag
Yes.
nasa isang Greater Vancouver Board of Trade event ako, I don't have to speak to everybody. I speak to one
Yes.
person. And then dun lalabas na yung authentic discussion. At the same time talagang ma, 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 ma- I come in humility and also with curiosity. Those are the two elements na ginagawa ko whenever I meet with people. I ask questions,
Yes.
I'm intently listening, and it doesn't have to be about work, and it doesn't have to be what
Correct.
I want. It could be something about the weather, their activity, their kasi
Yes.
when you meet people, it's always in the human level, not because of the work level. And they
Yes.
appreciate that, I think. And then they introduce me to someone that they know, and then for some reason, na may ripple effect. And so that ripple effect actually made me a little bit more. There's more, how do you call it? mas madali kong i-sustain yung ganong klaseng relationship kasi whenever I see them again, really make sure that I talk to them kasi hindi naman na basta hindi ko kinakilala ko na sila once, hindi ko na sila papansinin the next time. I think it's important that we show up that way. And so that that that's how I develop my personal brand in the community, not just from the Filipino community, but also from the Vancouver business community, is to show up with authenticity and also really build that authentic connection with anybody that I meet. And I would advise people to do the same kasi hindi naman basta-basta. And sometimes it would not work out too. Kung mga
Yeah.
networking opportunities na parang okay, tas parang hindi kayo nag-jive or di ano, and that's not the network that you wanna be around kasi hindi siguro align ang inyong values. So
True.
I leave it at that sometimes and, okay, I will acknowledge them. Um, Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not, but I just have to accept the fact that, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but that's also one thing that I'm also working on is not to try to please everybody. Kasi it's also a part of my leadership journey na parang, oh, okay, like, I need to be okay with not being okay for other people being okay with not okay with me. So, may mga ganong
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah. And I can attest to the fact that you really approach networking with humility and curiosity based on our first conversation. See, we have built that connection and planted the seed and keep it growing, right? We have nurtured it. We learned more about each other. And that's what building connection is all about. And kudos to you. You're doing a great job at it and inspiring other people to do great in that aspect as well. Because it is important to really build connections, and I must say, authentic connections. Yes.
Correct.
And for you, Lester, what do you think are the qualities that matter most for leaders? Especially not just in the Filipino community, but for us Filipinos who thrive and
Mhm.
strive to create a better path for not just for us, but for future generations in Canada.
I think when you said resilience, that's something that has really struck with me as well because sometimes resilience can be also self-owning, but I think it's just a matter of being optimistic. And I think optimism is important to any leader because that really sets the tone of the culture and also the person. And
Yeah.
optimism comes from having hope. I think
Yeah.
when you have hope, then there's optimism around it. So ganun po talaga, I think, is the first aspect to have as an authentic leader. Second, leadership also is a long goal. I read this book by Simon Sinek. It's called
Yes.
um, uh, the Infinite Game. Of course, sa isang game, gusto mo manalo ka, magkaroon ka ng points every single time to win the actual game. But
Yeah.
if you do it by cheating, you do it by hitting other players in the elbow or something like that, then that is not going for. You may have won the short game, but not the long game. The long game is
True.
your reputation. The long game is
Yes.
about your the goal of the organization. And I think that is one thing that as a leader you have to always think about what is the long game for you and your organization and for your community as well. That's why I feel like for me, even when I show up during these events with the community, I try to make sure that I always put Mabuhay houses at the community's long-term game, long-term goals. Because in a way, some people would just like, there's some detractors, and then if you respond to them, you will, there are challenges around that.
Yeah.
But having it a long term perspective of your activities and goals will actually releases you from a lot of the reactive responses. And
Yes.
then third maybe is also just showing up. Yeah, I think showing
Yes.
up in spaces, especially if it's difficult or even
Yeah.
it's easy to show up when it's easy, like when it's
Yeah.
fun and happy and everybody's celebrating. But if it's difficult and challenging, then the leader must show up even more so. Kasi madali po talagang madisheartenin tayo pagdating sa mga discouragement. But when
Yes.
you really show that you are there for them in hard times, especially your community, your staff, or even the leaders can see that as well. So I
Yeah.
think it's important to always show up in the most authentic way.
I love that. Always show up in the most authentic way. And yes, your reputation, your credibility must not be exchanged for short term goals. Always think about the long-term goals, the end
Yes.
game. It's a marathon.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes, yes, not a sprint. True. Thank you so much, Lester. I love this conversation. But to wrap this up, when you think about your future, your work, your purpose, what are you excited about?
So I'm really excited because Fairleigh Dickinson is moving to a new space in Oak Ridge. At the same time, Mabuhay House Society have a bit of a community uh, growth and also advocacy when it comes to the Filipino Cultural Center. One thing that we are very, very excited about is the community coming together and really having that lens and also that space to really
Yeah.
build a authentic home and basically a real home for our kababayans. It may take a while kasi may mga stages tayong fina-follow, but I'm excited for us and our community to move on the next phases of that project. But for me personally, I just got married last month, and
Congratulations!
thank you. So my husband and I, we're very excited for our future. It's really uncertain
Wonderful.
because we still don't know what's the next phase, but I think we're still in the honeymoon stage.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and he's been very supportive to me when it comes to our advocacy with the Filipino community and also my career. I'm very fortunate to have very good leaders in my career, and now currently my boss, who's really my sponsor. I try to call it a sponsor because you need to
Yeah.
sponsor your work to really build that space. Another thing is also I'm chairing not just Mabuhay House but also the Rick's Center for Leadership at the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to continue that community work from our Filipino community and also from the Greater Vancouver business community. And maybe lastly, I'm ready to get back at dancing. So
Wow.
this November, December, I could get to start doing a bit of competitive ballroom dancing as well, so that I can really like I do a lot for the community, but that's something that I do for myself. Like that is something that I feel like it's an exercise, but at the same time I could express myself in the arts, and music. So that really makes me excited for those stages to come.
That's great. Yeah, it nourishes your soul, right? Like
Yes,
you're
yes,
doing what you love to do. It just keeps you up and happy. Yeah. And
exactly.
yeah, it's not just about others, it's about yourself too, because you
Yes,
cannot
yes.
give if your cup is empty. So
Empty.
keep it full. Yes. Thank you so much, Lester. I've enjoyed our conversation. And please invite me if you're going to compete. I want to be there, one of the audience to cheer you on.
Of course,
Go,
Sherry,
Kani.
I would actually do that. Thank you for also inviting me as well. It was really nice always chatting with you. Your voice has been very soothing on a Saturday morning. And I know I wish you all the best. And there are more projects to come. I think between you and I, and we're actually excited to work together and
Yes.
network more and support for each other. Be a support for each other.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you again,
Thank you.
Lester, for sharing your journey. And of course, to our listeners, if you like this conversation, please don't forget to share it with your friends. Maybe they need a little bit of inspiration and just hearing the story of Lester, how he excelled and inspiring the Filipino community and even the global community through his work at Fairleigh Dickinson University is amazing. Keep it up and keep on inspiring us, Lester. Thank you. Thank you once again for listening to Life Expressions. Please click that subscribe button. I'm your host, Charie Ginete-Ilon. This is Life Expressions.